All right, welcome back to Coffee with Tony 2026. As you know, last week I didn't do an episode. I had a tough time with the chemo, and I think doing that episode was a little bit, those two episodes about politics was a little bit more than I cared to, more work than I cared to do. But it was something I was passionate about doing, so I did it. But I'm glad it's over. If you didn't get a chance to look at it, please take a look at it and realize that even though the title says about how Democrats do business and why it's dangerous, that is not an attack on the Democratic voters necessarily. That's just want to raise awareness of the way they do business with their coverage of things and how they say things. And then also at the end I talk about some mental health trends. So if you didn't get a chance to look at it, and if you're interested, a lot of people don't care about politics either, but go ahead and feel free to take a look at it. I thought it was pretty good, a little bit long, but I thought it was good. All right, so today's episode is all about stress management and self-care. Now, some of you might be saying, well, Tony, didn't you just do one about managing emotions? Yes, I did. And I wanted to include stress management because for me, they're different, and they are different. Emotional regulation and managing emotions is done at the time. There's some things happening. You're noticing things in your body. You're getting these signals, and you got to manage that before you blow up and do something stupid and say something you didn't mean or do something. For me, stress management or self-care, I don't really like that word because I think it's overplayed, or it was for a while there. Just wanted to move my microphone over here. Hopefully you guys don't have any problems hearing me. But anyway, self-care or stress management is the preventing of the accumulation of emotional tension or whatever it is, the stress. And the reason I wanted to do this is I was looking for input from some of my friends, and one of my friends said, why don't you do one about like taking trips, because she knows I like to take trips and I like to go out and see different bands. And she said, why don't you do something about that, like the value of that? And I thought, wow, that was awesome input, because it reminded me that I wanted to include this in that other episode. So now it's giving me a chance to talk about it. Anyway, I'm rambling, and I'm about 3 minutes into this, so. All right, so as I said, stress management is different from regulating emotions. And there's a lot of crossover, because if you have emotions, I don't know if you've ever come out of a meeting, maybe you felt like you were being attacked, or somebody said something to upset you. Your next interaction usually is not going to be good. And that's what they call like carryover emotions. And so that happening, it's going to happen. I mean, it really is. You just got to do your best to control it. But that happening on a consistent basis is not good, because then that's constant stress. So you have to have a way to do something for you to reduce that stress outside of the normal regulating emotions as well. And the problem with long-term stress and what it can do to us is, according to an article on the Mayo Clinic's website entitled "Chronic Stress Puts Your Health at Risk," In that article, they discuss how long-term accumulation of suppressed emotions can affect our body. The long-term activation of stress response systems and too much exposure to cortisol and other stress hormones can disrupt almost all of the body's processes. This puts you at higher risk for many health problems, including, these are some of the ones that they name: anxiety and depression, digestive problems, headaches, muscle tension and pain, heart disease, heart attack, high blood pressure, and stroke. Sleep problems, which can cause other problems as well, with both physical and mentally. It could cause problems with memory and focus as well when you're not getting your sleep. But prolonged stress can also cause weight gain. Sometimes, when you get that stress, you stress eat. I don't know if any of you have done that. I know I've done that at times. I try to stay away from it, but guilty as charged at times. And also we tend to overreact to things that are built up as well. And this could cause implications with our relationships as well. And so there's a whole bunch of reasons why you want to take care of managing stress. And also, according to another article from the CDC, the article is titled, Managing Stress. Stress can impact your daily life by causing the following. The title is Managing Stress, but it can impact your daily life by feelings of fear, anger, sadness, worry, numbness, or frustration. And I'll even add guilt to that. I know I have had, and maybe you've experienced this as well, but I've had times where I have reacted in the moment, and later on, literally could have been like within minutes, I'm feeling guilty about, even just my tone of voice or how loud I might have talked to somebody or something like that. So, I would add guilt to that list as well. It could also cause changes in appetite, energy, desires, and interest. I know one of the symptoms of anxiety is a loss of interest in things that you're normally interested in. It could also cause trouble concentrating and making decisions. And that could have other problems as well. If you're in a job position where you make decisions, if your decisions are impacted with emotions and constant stress, not to say that it will be bad, but it certainly could go bad. You could make some bad decisions unintentionally, of course. It goes on to list nightmares and problems sleeping, physical reactions in our body like headaches, body pain, stomach problems, and even skin rashes. I guess that's hives. I imagine that's what they're talking about. I know hives tend to be related, can be anyway, related to stress. Worsening of chronic health problems and mental health conditions. So if you're already, you have a diagnosis of anxiety or depression, those things, they could get a lot worse if you're not taking care of yourself. And I could speak to that. You heard my intro, my first video, where I talked about different supplements and what drove me getting an interest in that. I also I talked about I had some problems with depression and anxiety at times, and I wasn't comfortable seeking help, so that's why I sought those. And so what I've learned over the years is much better to manage it and not let them get worse and worse. When I think about that, I think about a relief valve almost. You know, if I don't know if you ever had a machine you worked with and you had to watch the pressure gauges, but those pressure gauges, they get up there, and once they get up into the red, you got to open a valve and let some of that pressure out so that things can be normal, so that doesn't cause any fractures. That's kind of what I feel like this is. Stress management is almost like a relief valve. Get some of that out, get things normal, get flowing again, and feel normal again. So if you are dealing with any kind of mental illness or diagnosis, even I guess anxiety and depression, as severe as they really are, that at times they're not considered as severe as some of the others, but nonetheless, you want to take care of yourself. The other thing, I could speak to this as well: increased use of alcohol and drugs. I haven't used drugs, but there was times during my military career where, when I was stressed out, I remember I was going through my divorce, and I developed a problem because I turned to alcohol as a way to deal with it. And so I could speak to that one as well. All right. So now we know it's not a good thing to keep stress and to keep it suppressed and not deal with it, basically, right? It's just like anything else. If you stub your toe or you cut your finger or whatever, you're probably going to wash it up and tape it up and, do something to take care of that. Put some ointment on it, right? And so that's how stress management is. Like you want to manage it before it becomes a big problem. And so the CDC, that same article, Managing Stress, it outlines some practical tips about how to manage some stress and preventing emotional accumulation. And so this is different for everyone. There's things that I like to do, and I'll talk about them at the end. There's things that you're going to like to do, and there is no right or wrong. That's the thing you need to understand. You need to find out what works for you. Well, I could sit here and for days I can rattle off, take some deep breaths, meditate, write in a journal. I could, and I'm going to read those very same things here in a minute, but I could sit here and I can read that list to you all day long. But at the end of the day, if that doesn't work for you, you have to find what does work for you, okay? And when I get to the part at the end where some of the things I'm doing, they're very different. It is, some of the stuff I do, especially now, is very different to manage stress than what it was, when I was a lot healthier 2-3 years ago, where I was working out and doing all that. I still would like to get back to that, but nonetheless, I'm not there now, so I have to do other things to deal with it, right? Okay. All right, so according to this article, Managing Stress, it says that these are just some things I'm gonna read from here. It says to take deep breaths, or take breaks, Take breaks from news, social media. It's good to be informed, but constant information about negative events can be very upsetting. And that speaks to what I talked about in my, not the last video, but the video before, where I did talk about how the Democratic Party is doing business and how that's affecting our mental health. I forget the exact title, but at the end, there's an article that I cite about, or I talk about this, with this constant bombarding of negative, constant, and it will take its toll on you. And it can be upsetting. And so you have to take a break from that too. Social media, I didn't even talk about social media in that video, mainly I guess because I couldn't find statistics. But yeah, anything that's going to be constantly impacting you that way, it could be work too. You might have to go take a break at work and take a deep breath, get back to work, or, at lunchtime, maybe take a walk around the building just to clear your mind. This is all, whatever's going to work for you, you have to figure it out. But what they're talking about there is the constant bombarding of, with these emotions and with the stress. All right, make time to unwind. This is a good one. Take deep breaths, stretch, meditate. It says keeping a journal can be good. Spending time outdoors, love it. Anybody who knows me knows that, I love to go camping. I love to do anything outside, really. Especially if it's a nice day. Go camping, just go for a walk. This year my goal is to go out and I want to go lake tubing. It's something I always want to try. So for me, that's going to be one of my get outside adventures, or take time to unwind. I'm going to do one of those. But yeah, spending time outside, whether you're being active or relaxing, either way. And try to do some other relaxing activities that you enjoy as well. And that could be anything. Like I said, going for a walk. It could be petting your dog. We have therapy animals for a reason. Therapy pets, therapy dogs. And that's because they can be quite comforting and relaxing. They can help us calm down. So, I love my dog. He could be a pain sometimes. You probably heard him barking in a couple of videos. I know when I look back on him, I could hear him barking sometimes. But he's pretty cool. He brings me some comfort, just sitting there and let me pet him. So if you got a dog or a cat or whatever, that might bring you comfort, and that might be a great way for you to relax. All right. This is a good one as well. I like this one. Practice gratitude daily. Remind yourself of specific things you are grateful for, and I would even go as far as to write them down. And the reason is, I use this analogy with my daughter when she was going through a breakup. And she was having a hard time getting over this guy. And I said, look, sweetie, I said, sometimes life is it's like riding a bike or driving a car. If you're driving a car and you're passing a field, maybe there's a mountain, there's some beautiful scenery, and you look over, you're going to pull that car right over into the field every time. And so that's what I think of when I think of this. It's like, where is your focus? And sometimes just putting your focus on what you're grateful for, that could be a big help. And I'm going to have to ask her if she ever gave that any thought, or if she ever changed anything with that, because we never really followed up. But anyway, it's kind of the same analogy, right? If you're keeping your focus where you need to be, and gratitude is a good thing to have focus on. That could help lighten your mood, help reduce stress, and make you feel better. So that way, when things do pop up, there's at least a mix. Like, okay, there's an up. That's my gratitude. I was happy about this. Okay, now this kind of stinks, but I'm okay. And it kind of, because in reality, life does go like that. There's up and downs, and so it's good and it's healthy to acknowledge the ups as well as the downs, because it can be real easy to get caught up in that. All right, on to the next one. Yeah, this one's hard. I think this is harder for men. Sorry. Hope that wasn't too loud. Talking with people. People you trust about your concerns and how you are feeling. I think women do better with that than men do. But either way, it's a good thing to do. Connect with the people in your community, faith-based organizations, somebody in your church. A lot of churches have small groups. They're usually the churches that I've gone to that are biblically based. They're usually small groups based on like some kind of biblical topic. But even if it's not a topic that you're dealing with, it might be a good opportunity to get connected with someone that you might feel comfortable with. And I would say too, for veterans, there's different veteran organizations you can get involved with. What's the VFW, the Legion, AMVETS. There's different ones where you can connect with people. And so those organizations could be a good thing as well, especially for the veterans out there that would be more comfortable connecting with other veterans. Okay, so this next part is it's more tips that you can do, but it's about taking care of your body. This one, get enough sleep. It's something that we all do. Whether it's we go out on a Thursday night and we're out a little too late, or if we're stressed out and we're not sleeping because we're stressed out and we can't stop our thinking. That getting sleep has so much benefit to it, because like a lot of the other symptoms of not taking care of yourself that we talked about in the first part, a lot of them can be helped or better managed with getting enough sleep. Like anxiety, if you get enough sleep, you're focusing better, your memory's better, you're performing better on the job. That's going to relieve stress there, at least potentially. You're going to get along better, because if you're not getting sleep, I know we've all done it, I've done it, and we've not gotten enough sleep. I'm a little short-tempered sometimes with people, and therefore sometimes I upset other people, and that I end up with problems in relationships, or I have, at least. So that's always good. And remember, adults need 7 hours. For kids, they want more like 10 to 12, which I don't think is very realistic, but if you can, God bless you. Well, I guess kids can, especially in the summer. They can sleep on whatever schedule they want. All right, move around. Move around more, go for walks, work out. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be smaller things and work your way up. I know I like to go for walks, and especially a couple of months ago when I was coming out of surgery, doing a mile just it wasn't easy, So I had to work my way up, and eventually I got up to 2.5, 3 miles, and then I started to work on my pace a little bit and got a little bit faster pace, and it felt good. But they recommend trying to get about 2.5 hours a week, and if you have to break it up, you should break it up. I don't think too many people go to the gym for 2.5 hours in one day. And I think the benefit is better if you break it up too. Go there several times. But anyway, break it up 20, 30 minutes a day. Eating healthy fruits vegetables, lean protein, whole grains, low fat, and or no fat dairy. Limit your unhealthy foods like your fats, your salts, your sugar especially. Um, sugars, there's all kinds of implications to sugars, diabetes, and all kinds of stuff. So eat healthy, you'll feel better. Even though it's kind of one of those guilty pleasures where, yeah, the chocolate ice cream is going to taste good, a chocolate shake is going to taste good, and I'm going to love it. But is it going to really make me feel any better? Probably not. It might when it hits your taste buds because you're enjoying it then, but long term it's probably not going to do too much. And with that being said, everything in moderation is okay too. I think, having a chocolate shake once in a while isn't the end of the world either. But it's about balance. All right, I'm babbling again. Limit alcohol intake. I'm not going to preach on that. I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I don't drink. I do remember my drinking days, and it's one of those things where there was good times, there was bad times, but eventually, if you're not careful, it will catch up with you. And I'm not talking about like just having a problem or, developing an addiction. I mean, like you drink too much, you go to work and somebody smells alcohol in your breath. Like, there's other implications, so that's something to be careful with. Avoid using drugs. I don't think I should have to say that, whether it's illegal or prescription. Make sure prescription drugs, you're taking them the way they're prescribed and not, recreationally. Avoid smoking, vaping, using tobacco products. Those things restrict your blood vessels, and so you don't get the blood flow, and that could really bring down your energy levels too. All right, so those are some things that I named off that the CDC recommends. I done some of them, over the course of the years, but like I said earlier, I do some things that are different now. Like back in the day, I used to work out. Like, in my video about managing emotions, I talk about you can manage it by meeting the need or taking care of the energy. And so for me, I think that was like, it was like a self-care, plus it was emotional regulation in the moment as well. But I did a lot of circuit training. I really enjoyed it. Like that was something that when I was in the Air Force, I hated running. Which is really odd because I enjoyed running when I was a kid. So go figure. But I think maybe because I had to do it, it was different. And I think too, getting older and that pounding on the joints really didn't make it as much fun. So anyway, I took to circuit training, and I absolutely loved it because you get the resistance exercise, you get the blood pumping, and you just keep going. And you can get it done, a good solid workout done in about 30, 40 minutes. And so I loved it. So exercise is great. I can't do circuit training anymore, so my exercise, as I said earlier, looks more like walking nowadays. But the idea is to move the energy, to get the endorphins running and prevent that escalation of constant emotional bombarding. So you want to manage the stress. And there's other health implications as well, that you can benefit from. Okay, I'm just checking my notes. I apologize. So I do some meditation at times, like mindful meditation, body scans, deep breaths, just taking time to just stop. Don't think about nothing but the deep breath you're taking. And deep breath in. And just focusing on how that feels coming into your lungs. And doing that a few times for a few minutes can really give your mind a break. Because the thing is, your mind does not take a break, if you haven't noticed. It will go as long as you let it. So unless you're doing something like that, your brain's not going to get the break that it needs. So take a deep breath, do a little bit of meditation. Body scan is good. As you're taking these deep breaths, kind of focus in on your body. Figure out what it's telling you. Where's the tension? Stuff like that. Here's something I said. I do some things that are not normal. I don't think that was the word I used, but a little bit different, I believe, was the words I used. One of those things that I do is a acupressure mat. And I'm going to go grab this real quick. All right, so this is an acupressure mat, and you see all these little white button looking things. They have little plastic needles. And what you do with this is you lay it on the ground, and then you lay yourself on top of that. And I want to be honest with you, the first time you try it, it probably will hurt. It'll be uncomfortable. It won't like physically hurt you, but it will be uncomfortable until you get situated. Once you get situated on it and you stay still, within a few minutes, you will feel the tension melt away. I remember when somebody told me about this, I was like, yeah, right. But eventually, I ended up doing it because of the pain in my back, because I get tension in my back very bad. And I was having back problems at that time. I still do, but not as bad. And so I was like, you know what, let me just try it. So I did, and I was very surprised, very pleasantly surprised at how much it does melt the tension away. And you can do different things, I mostly lay on my back because that's where I get the tension, but if you need, like if your shoulders, you want to roll over on your shoulder, you can do all that too, it's just however you want to use it. And so the acupressure mat, don't laugh at it until you try it. Spend it $20 or $30 or whatever and go out and try it. And then you can laugh at me if you don't like it. But it really does. It melts the tension away, and I'm telling you, it's been really good for me for as far as my stress management. And it helps you sleep too. So that's a good thing. Remember, I just talked about sleep and all the benefits that could have. So this could be like for me anyway, it's like a compounding effect. And then there's other things that I do that aren't so extreme, I guess you could say, or not so necessarily aimed towards self-care, but it is self-care or stress management, whatever word you want to use. And that's the things that my friend was telling me about, like, why don't you do about this? Like, you're always taking trips. I enjoy taking a trip and going and doing things, going down to the beach, down to the shore, the boardwalk. I love water parks. I'm the biggest kid you'll ever see out there. I'm kind of at a bad point right now because my son, he's 18 now. So I don't know if I can make him go with me so I don't look so stupid, but I love the water parks. They're a blast. a lot of fun. But I take trips, and I do stuff like that because I enjoy it, and it is a stress relief. It really helps manage stress. When you're having that much fun, you're getting the pleasure chemicals, the dopamine, and all that going. It's huge benefits. And going out to see bands, I love to go out and see a good band and enjoy music. I like all kinds of music. Not too big of a fan of R&B or rap, but I do like, I love the hair bands of the 80s. That's always going to be my favorite. I grew up during that era. That was when I was starting to come into my own, and just some good memories to go along with the music as well. I like country music and, blues and stuff like that. I like a whole bunch of different types of music. So I'll go out and I'll go see a band on a Friday or Saturday night, just enjoy myself. And it's nice when you can run into some friends as well and enjoy the evening with them. But whatever it is, you have to find your thing, I just rattled off a list of stuff that the CDC recommends. Great recommendations, don't get me wrong. And I do a lot of them. You heard me talk about a few of them at least that I do. And then I talked about the few things that I do that I enjoy, that help me manage stress. But at the end of the day, this video is something basically to get you thinking about it. The same way the other video was about managing emotions. It's something to get you started, get you thinking about what you could do, get you hopefully trying different things as well. And so I encourage you, in your journey to find your thing and enjoy it and do your best to live stress-free. All right, thanks for tuning in. This has been Coffee with Tony 2026, and we'll see you next week. I believe next week I'm planning on doing morals and values and being able to know who you are as a person and being able to stick to those morals and values as you make decisions and how that can help guide you in life. All right, thanks for tuning in. Coffee with Tony 2026. See you next week.